This morning I woke up with a song in my head by Big Daddy Weave. It was My Story. It was like, if I tell you my story, I will tell you of him, which was really cool. So I had to play that on Spotify this morning as I was getting ready. So I guess I'll just start off at the beginning. It was a dark and stormy night, 1996, when I was born. I don't know what the weather was like, actually. But, I was born June 17th, 1996. In Duluth, Minnesota. Lived there all my life, same house, never moved. My mom grew up Catholic. My dad grew up Lutheran, but switched over to Apostolic. There's a church near our house. And he was the only one of our family that went to that church. The rest of us just stayed home and, I don't know, did whatever. On Sunday mornings, slept probably. But he went to church all day. He was really the big Christian guy in the family. After a while, he just stopped going because of health problems, I guess. Growing up wasn't all that fun, I guess, because my dad did insurance. He sold insurance, but after a while, because of health problems, he had to get off of that and go on Social Security disability. So neither of my parents work, neither of them work right now. So it's just been a very difficult thing in my life. Lots of benefits for college though, which is good. Let's see. So after a while, one of my cousins started going to one of the churches in the area. It was Hermantown Community Church. And so then one of my sisters, I have two sisters, both older. My oldest one started going to the church with him, the youth group. And so then I just thought, hey, I'll tag along. I never really went on Sunday mornings, just on Wednesday nights. And I started, I guess, getting more involved with that, got involved with tech. So I'm used to being behind the scenes, not up front, talking to people. I just slowly got involved with the youth group, and I guess life inside the youth group was different than life outside of it. At school, I was one person. I hung out with certain friends, and then at church, I knew how I should have acted at church, act like a Christian. Didn't swear at church, but I could do whatever I wanted outside of church. I guess that all changed somewhat slowly as I was going to church. There were nights where the youth pastor would do a call for salvation, like raise your hand if you want Jesus, and I would do that pretty much every time. But after a while, I went to a play that my church put on called Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames, and at the end, the pastor said, told us to ask our neighbor, which I was sitting next to my best friend. We're roommates now, which is awesome. And not awesome at the same time. Someone gets sick of each other at times. But, so the pastor told us to ask each other, do you know where you would be going if you died today? Do you know if you would go to heaven or hell? And I told him, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, I go to church, I don't know, really. But then the pastor said, ask again, and say, do you really know? And so I said, no, I don't know. So the pastor called everyone up that didn't know up to the altar, and we said a prayer of faith, and I thought, oh, I did this before. This is embarrassing, I shouldn't be up here with all these people. And so, but looking back, that was really the pivotal moment in my life where church just wasn't just church. It was actively growing my faith in God and who I was in Christ. And so I started to get more and more involved in the youth group. I started leading a small group with the youth students. That didn't end up so well. Kind of diminished after a while. But one of my mentors said I really had a heart of a pastor, and so I took that as a sign. I was like junior year of high school, so I was really looking for what was I going to do with the rest of my life, because that's what every high schooler junior or senior in high school needs to know. And so I came to North Central University. I had the decision of going to Northwestern or there. I just really liked the community at North Central so much better. And so junior year, I decided to go there. And then the summer before I went off to college, I really started thinking about missions. And instead of doing pastoral stuff here in the States, I would go overseas, kind of that adventure mentality of I'm going to go on an adventure and reach people for God that whose language I don't know. And so before I left, I talked to one of my pastors at the church and asked him, should I switch? I was pastoral studies major going into school. And I asked him, should I switch to intercultural studies, which is the missions major? And he said, well, just wait for open doors, but don't be afraid of the closed doors. I guess I haven't really seen much of closed doors lately, but I'm sure they will come. So I did my first semester as a pastoral studies major, and then spring, which was last semester, I switched over to intercultural studies, and I've been loving that major and to know a lot of people in that. And this summer, I have the opportunity of going to Turkey on a fieldwork with one of the professors for a month, and we will hopefully be working with some of the refugees from Syria, and then after that, I'll hopefully be going to Jordan. Yeah, I guess I kind of had a little message. Lately, my view of calling has been switched around. It's not always God like coming down in a booming voice from heaven saying, Aaron, you're going to do missions. Like, I never heard that. I just feel like that's where I'm being led. And this past week, at North Central, we had a chapel speaker telling us about calling a little bit, and that God gave us certain gifts, and we use those gifts, but He might allow us to use those gifts in ministry or business or missions or whatever, but we have to use those gifts. And so I'm just going to be continuing doing that and seeing where that takes me. So,
Awesome.
that's it.